Maria Kazarian.
Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador of Armenia, esteemed members of the Parliament, representatives of the Dutch government and various organizations, members of our recommending committee, and members of the Dutch Friends of Armenia, and of course, all our guests of the Center for Truth and Justice, Judge Mugasa Abkaran and her companions. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Federation of Armenian Organizations in the Netherlands, I welcome you to this charity commemoration concert. As we gather here today, let us take a moment to observe a minute of silence to honor the memory of the victims of the Armenian genocide. May we never forget their suffering, and may peace prevail. Thank you. Tonight, we come together in this beautiful church to honor the memory of the victims of the Armenian genocide. As part of FAUN's enduring commitment to the recognition of the Armenian genocide in the Netherlands, our April 24 committee has been organizing commemoration events for the past 25 years. This year, the commemoration takes the form of a charity concert. We are grateful to have the representatives of the Greek, Kurdish, Jewish, Assyrian, Armenian, Yazidi, and Belarusian communities, and other friends of the Armenian community among us on this occasion. We gather here this evening not only to revel in the beauty of music, but to commemorate, to reflect, and to unite in remembrance of profound historical injustices. Our hearts weigh heavy with the weight of history as we honor the memory of those who perished in the Armenian genocide, alongside the representatives of other minorities, including the Assyrians, the Greeks, and Armenians. Over a century ago, a dark chapter stained humanity's conscience. The Armenian genocide serves as a somber testament to the horrors of ethnic cleansing, the brutality of intolerance, and the devastating consequences of silence. Tonight, we stand in solidarity with the Armenian people, affirming our commitment to ensure that such atrocities never fade into oblivion, and that justice remains an unyielding beacon for all. Yet, as we commemorate the Armenian genocide, we cannot ignore the echoes of history reverberating in our present. The active and purposeful denial of the Armenian genocide for over a century created the conditions for the continuation of the quest to rid the Armenian homeland from its indigenous people and any traces of their millennial-long existence. Only a few months ago, the Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh, Artsakh, were forced to flee their ancestral home in what has been called the perfect ethnic cleansing. Make no mistake, the ethnic cleansing of Armenians of Artsakh is the continuation of the pan-Turkic ambition to exterminate also the Armenians of Artsakh in 1918 with the help of Azerbaijan. It is no coincidence that the streets in Stepanakert today bear the names of the perpetrators of the Armenian genocide. The images of Armenians fleeing in mass were painfully familiar. The old wounds feel raw and open, fueling another cycle of intergenerational trauma. Yet again, the world has looked away in silence. Meanwhile, more than 100,000 Armenians have to overcome this personal tragedy and yet another historical injustice to build new lives. It is for the children of Artsakh that the proceeds from this concert will be donated to. At the same time, as the members of the Armenian community, we cannot confine our gaze to the suffering of our people only. For the world around us bears witness to countless struggles and various injustices. From Ukraine to Israel and Gaza, from Myanmar to Sudan, the cries of the oppressed resound across borders and continents. Instead of losing hope, in the face of such immense suffering and injustice, our duty is to seek justice and accountability and strive for a world where every single person can live in peace, dignity, and freedom. Tonight, as we immerse ourselves in the transformative power of music, let us reflect on how we can honor the memory of the past, the challenges of the present, and sow the seeds for a more just and compassionate future for generations to come. We're very happy to welcome the Armenian Project Choir Tsirani Tsar, conducted by Mr. Ivo Rosvay and Mrs. Rosanna Hakopian and soprano Milena Meglaryan. It is also a pleasure to welcome the youth choir of Adourian Cultural Center, based in The Hague, led by Mrs. Svetlana Avajanyan. During our gathering, we also anticipate speeches from the Ambassador of Armenia, His Excellency Mr. Viktor Vyagov, and the members of Parliament, Mr. Isa Kahraman, Mr. Donchik Seder, former Member of Parliament, Mr. Harry Van Bommel, as well as esteemed Judge Agassi Akkaryan, representing the Center for Truth and Justice. The concert will be followed by a reception. Thank you, everyone, and may tonight's concert serve as a testament of the enduring resilience of the human spirit, quest of justice, and solidarity that unites us all. Thank you.
Now, performing a song for Artsakh, Milena Meglaryan. Victor Piar.
Thank you. Dear members of Parliament, Director Westrate, dear compatriots, ladies and gentlemen. 109 years ago, on April 24, Armenian intellectuals and community leaders were arrested and exiled by the decision of Ottoman authorities. A fragment of an elaborated plan with an ultimate goal, and I quote, to leave behind one Armenian and only in museum, end of quote. Subsequent deportation and marches to nowhere left 1.5 million Armenians dead. This crime, unknown to humanity at the time, was characterized by the international community as a crime against humanity and civilization. Today, as we gathered here to commemorate what is usually referred to as the first genocide of the 20th century, I ask myself a simple question as to what the world would look like if the Armenian genocide did not happen, or what the world would look like if the perpetrators of the Armenian genocide were punished and their atrocities condemned by the civilized world. And the answer is, we could have avoided further atrocities throughout the 20th century in Europe, Africa, or Asia. My people could have avoided another tragedy, another crime against it, the ethnic cleansing of Nagorno-Karabakh that happened before our eyes. I could go further and talk about the violations of the norm of international law, but let's leave it to professionals who are working vigorously these days to achieve justice, not only for victims, but for all humankind. The sense of impunity doesn't only give birth to the new crimes. Impunity itself is a crime because it discloses the inability to achieve justice. Student of the Lviv University, Raphael Lemkin, who later introduced the terms genocide, was horrified to find out that no norms of international law existed to prosecute Ottoman leaders for these crimes. Some decades later, 49 members of Lemkin's own family perished in the Holocaust. Genocide doesn't happen overnight. It's a pre-planned act that occurs when societies are poisoned by hatred. Even though genocide is committed against a certain group of people, it affects not only by representatives of the group, but the whole humanity. This is precisely that this crime needs a collective response. Since mid-20th century, the politicians and academia across the globe concentrated their efforts on putting in place legal mechanisms able to prevent and punish genocide. On 11 December 1946, the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution which paved the way for the adoption of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in 1948. It was the first step of a long journey towards the elimination of this crime. Another milestone in it was the establishment of the International Court of Justice. Armenia joined the Rome Statute, perceiving it as a hope for the future, free of the gravest crimes that are of concern to the whole humanity of humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, for me, April 24th is not only about mourning, it's also about honoring the strength of my nation. Armenian people survived the genocide thanks to its resilience and the unwavering will to live and create. Bearing the grief of the innocent victims in our souls, we feel the moral responsibility to lead international efforts towards prevention of genocides. These efforts are focused on the fight against impunity, restoring justice, creating early warning mechanisms, promoting education on past genocide, and paying tribute to the memory of the victims. And of course, recognition. The type of recognition that the survivors and their descendants deserve and accept. The type of the recognition that refers to the whole international community without exception on any ground. The type of recognition guarantees a non-recurrence. The type of recognition that excludes denialism as it leads to new atrocities and tragedies that we collectively try to prevent. Armenia initiated an organized global forum against the crime of genocide since 2015. Days ago, the UN Human Rights Council adopted by consensus resolution on the prevention of genocide offered by Armenia. For the first time, the contribution of the ICJ to the genocide was acknowledged. Ladies and gentlemen, we must spare no efforts in creating a reality where human rights are guaranteed and each individual is able to live in dignity and security, irrespective of the group it represents. Thank you.
Now performing a song called Live in Peace, the Abovian Youth Choir, conducted by Miss Svetlana Agatyanian. is the caravan of the new social cut.
Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, other guests, today I am standing here as a grandchild of a survivor of the Armenian genocide. It is the most horrific tragic history that is known. It is called the Armenian genocide, but it had its effect also on many other Christians in the area of Turkey. Thinking of the Armenians, Assyrians, and the Pontic Greek. Their suffering and loss are a part as well of this dark chapter of our history, which we, the Armenians, refer to Saifa, and Saifa is Aramaic sword. So this period we call the year of the sword. When I was born, my family lived in the village of Bogheri, which was one of the Christian villages in the southeast of Turkey, with a population of 1,500 people. But then, in the year 1915, fate struck and 1,300 villages were brutally murdered by their own neighbors, commissioned by the Ottoman Empire. Today, we can find the names of the 1,500 souls written down in a book, together with the names of their murderers. Not to forget that amid this darkness there was also light in the heroic deeds of some Turkish and Kurdish people who risked their lives in helping our ancestors to survive. To this day, the Turkish government refuses to acknowledge the orders that were given and the gruesome deeds that followed. Instead, they try to erase all the facts that were leading to the bloodshed, change the names of the Christian villages, and make us change our names in Turkish names. While remembering the darkness of the past, though, we must above all look to the future. Although the denial of the past by the Turkish government is heavy on my heart, I personally will never hold a grudge against Turkish people for what happened in 1915. Acknowledgement of the past is an unconditional necessity for reconciliation. Without being confronted with the truth, we cannot move forward onwards. Without acknowledgement, we cannot build bridges. Let us learn from the past. The history of the Armenian genocide is not only about suffering and loss, but also of resilience and hope. Today is about honoring the lost souls and the survivors of this tragedy, and commemorate their lives together. It is our moral responsibility to remember the victims of the Armenian genocide and Saifa, and to give them a voice through their descendants. It is our moral duty to tell and acknowledge the truth, not only for us, but for future generations. I will end my speech with an appeal to the Turkish government through a quote by the late writer James Baldwin. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Thank you.
May I invite great friend of the Armenian people, Member of Parliament for the Christian Union, Mr. Tom Sager.
Good evening, everyone. Excellent. I'm standing here in the same place as many of us were standing here last year, remembering those that we have lost during the Armenian genocide. And one thing I said last year, and something that has become more significant this year, that is crucial. It's crucial to acknowledge what took place 109 years ago, genocide. And the reason why, because we need to acknowledge what took place so we can see what's taking place till this day, which is the erasure of Armenian heritage, culture, and people. And as I was standing here last year, I was also concerned about the situation at the border of Azerbaijan and Armenia, and specifically the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh. I warned in the parliament, but also here, that's necessary to acknowledge what took place so we can see what's currently taking place till this day in Armenia. And I'm saddened to stand here 1 year later to see that tragedy has once again taken its toll, taken place with the removal and the ethnic cleansing in Nagorno-Karabakh. This could have been avoided if the people, if the parliaments, if the world leaders stood up and listened and acknowledged that what took place 109 years ago is still having its effect on this day. We could have stood side by side with the Armenian people to say, till here and no further. Unfortunately, we did not listen. Unfortunately, we were not able as Western society to stand besides the people of Nagorno-Karabakh. And over 100,000 people had to leave their homes, their houses. Until this day, it's unclear what the intentions of Azerbaijan are when it comes to further escalation. I'm here to remember. I'm here to acknowledge what took place 109 years ago. But once again, I'm standing here to say that it's important to acknowledge, not only to remember those that we have lost, but to see what's taking place today. There's still an attack on heritage, culture, and the Armenian people. I'm here, and I know we have many friends, many colleagues. I see Mr. Boswijk from CDA also. We're here. And for the last couple of years, I've seen parliamentarians standing up and do a couple of things. And one of them is to remember, but also acknowledge that what happened was a genocide. It was a crime against humanity. And we succeeded as a parliament to acknowledge the Armenian genocide. And the next step was to make sure that the parliament is acknowledging the genocide. And as many of you know, it's been a fight, it's been a struggle to also get the government to acknowledge that. But that's something where I see more and more people being aware of what took place and also the importance of acknowledging and recognizing. I will not stop. I will continue to ensure that we acknowledge as a country, as a parliament, what took place 109 years ago. But I'm doing that because I'm well aware that if we do that, hopefully we can take more seriously what's currently taking place and see with our own eyes that we need once again take a stand. I'm here to say, to recognize, I'm here to stand still, I'm here to remember, but I'm also here to spread hope, knowing that the Armenian people are not alone, that we are with you, not just myself, there are many with you, who are mourning with you, who are remembering with you, also standing beside you, saying that what happened 109 years ago must never ever take place again. And that we must ensure that whether the Armenian diaspora across the world or the Armenians right now in Armenia, those that had to move from Nagorno-Karabakh can one day completely live in peace. That's something I'm committed to. That's something that I want to say and spread towards all of you that we are standing with you, we are standing beside you. 2 years ago, I was in Yerevan during the memorial. Hopefully, next year I'll be able to stand there again, Yerevan, also with the Dutch government fully acknowledging the Armenian genocide, also taking a stand what's taking place today. You are not alone, we are with you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Now performing works by the great Armenian composer Komitas, Ms. Milena Beglarian and Mr. Alexander Zavialov. I may now invite the honorable judge, also a member of the Center of Truth and Justice, Ms. Dacia Arcadia.
Mr. Ambassador, members of Parliament, survivors of descendants of survivors of genocide, and I want to thank the Armenian community here. I arrived from California this morning, and even though we have probably one of the largest Armenian communities, this is amazing talent. It's beautiful, it's moving. I'm amazed at what I'm hearing. Mass deportations, beheadings, slaughter, destruction of homes, removal of ethnic Armenians. This all sounds like what happened in 1915 during the Armenian genocide. Unfortunately, I'm here to deliver not a positive message, and the reason why I'm here today. We all talk about the horrific images from the 2020 war that we all watched when Azerbaijan attacked Nagorno-Karabakh during the 44 days. Where over 5,000 young Armenian men between the ages of 18 and 20 died. Over 10,000 were left disabled. 30,000 Armenians were displaced in 2020 from Nagorno-Karabakh. Then came the 9-month-long starvation of the Armenians with the blockade in Nagorno-Karabakh that ended with the attacks and the war, the aggressive military attacks on the civilians of Nagorno-Karabakh. And that was the last chapter of Nagorno-Karabakh when the balance of the Armenian population of 120,000 were forcibly displaced into Armenia. And we talked about the ethnic cleansing and the horrific crimes that were committed by Azerbaijan but mostly we talk about what happened in Nagorno-Karabakh. But again, when I talk about the arrest of the Armenian leadership, imprisoned, forcible deportations, the killing of Armenians, the burning down of their homes, terrorizing them, mutilating them, beheading them, the violence against women, exposing their genitalia, cutting off their hands, their arms. I'm actually not talking about the genocide of 1915 anymore. I'm talking about what is happening in Armenia. Not in Nagorno-Karabakh, not in 1915. It is taking place in the Republic of Armenia. I'm here on behalf of the Center for Truth and Justice. The center's job is to collect testimonial evidence of atrocities from victims and witnesses, which we've been doing since the 2020 war. And what we have come to discover is what I delivered on behalf of the Center for Truth and Justice today to the International Criminal Court. It's my first time here at The Hague. This is not how I wanted to visit The Hague, as a judge, as a professional, as a human person, one who cares about human rights. I thought I would come to The Hague and visit the history. But I arrived today with one purpose: to actually deliver a petition to the prosecutor of the ICC that points to the genocide of Armenians taking place right now in the Republic of Armenia. And this is the document that was delivered to him today. If you want to read it, it's 100 pages of horrible details by time, date, place, location. None of the names of the witnesses or the victims are in here because we protect that information. That information has gone directly to the prosecutor. However, there's a map in the front of the Republic of Armenia. And there are red dots on this map that go all the way to the middle of the country. As we speak today, these red dots are 31 towns and villages currently occupied by Azerbaijan, illegally occupying Armenian territory within the Republic of Armenia. And these are not just simple occupation because we're letting them in. This is by forcible, aggressive military war, terrorizing the Armenians and emptying the land. The Center for Truth and Justice also has all of Aliyev's speeches, if you're wondering, is it true? Is genocide really happening? Under the Genocide Convention, it falls squarely under it. If you just take President Aliyev's words alone, which are horrific, a barrage of hate speech that says, we're coming for you, leave the land, otherwise we will force you out, and claiming that Armenia actually is historic lands of Azerbaijan. So, I too believed that 1915 was history, and we all said never again. But I'm not here to depress you further. I'm here because for the first time, Armenians, your fellow diasporans, a group of lawyers throughout the world actually, the Center for Truth and Justice has volunteer lawyers all over, have decided to take things into their hands and this time petition the ICC in order for them to do an investigation of President Aliyev and his policies of genocide against Armenians. We are no longer just a victim country. We are taking steps because what we're asking for is not just punishing the act of genocide by those who are instigating and carrying it out, but to prevent what could ultimately be much worse. To prevent the true emptying of Armenian lands from the Republic of Armenia. So, the good news is we are not going quietly in the dark. We are demanding that the record be reviewed, that findings be made, and those who are committing these crimes be held responsible. So I thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak to you in this beautiful place with beautiful music that is extremely moving. But we do not want the Armenians in Armenia to become diasporas like us when our ancestors had to escape or survive genocide. We need our compatriots to live on their land, on the homeland. And with that, my hope is next time I see you, we will have moved forward with this petition and the ICC. Thank you very much.
Now conducted by Mr. Igor Boswijk and Ms. Rosanna Kopjan, the Armenian choir Sirani Tsar. former member of the Dutch Parliament, longtime friend and ally of the Armenian people, Mr. Harry van Bommel.
Mr. Ambassador, friends of Armenia, never again was the international promise after World War II. Never again would the international community look the other way when genocide was being committed. Yet, this is exactly what happened when the Second Nagorno-Karabakh War took place. Fighting began on the morning of the 27th September with an Azerbaijani offensive along the line of contact established in the aftermath of the First Nagorno-Karabakh War, which lasted from 1988 to 1994. Clashes were particularly intense in the less mountainous districts of southern Nagorno-Karabakh. Turkey provided military support to Azerbaijan, and many people, and one of them, believe that Azerbaijan could only win this war with the support given by Turkey. The war was marked by the deployment of drones, sensors, long-range heavy artillery and missile strikes, as well as by state propaganda and the use of official social media accounts in online information warfare. Azerbaijan's widespread use of drones was seen as crucial in determining the conflict's outcome. The Second Nagorno-Karabakh War resulted in the ethnic cleansing of the region. I fully support the International Court of Justice, and I hope that they will come to a judgment that ethnic cleansing has taken place in this region. Recognition of atrocities like ethnic cleansing and genocide is very important for three reasons. First of all, to do justice to the victims and their families. Second, to bring perpetrators to justice. And finally, to prevent new genocides from happening. If the Armenian genocide of 1950 would have been recognized worldwide, Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh would have enjoyed far more protection from the international community and from international law. Universal recognition of the 1950 Armenian genocide will help Armenians today, and that is needed, as has been exposed earlier. Azerbaijan's hunger for Armenian soil is still there. So let us hope that the Second Nagorno-Karabakh War will bring us closer to worldwide recognition of the Armenian genocide. Thank you very much.
La
Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Thanks to all the devoted speakers who are willing to give us a few words. And thanks to all the fellow musicians who are willing to play here for free. And thanks for all the donations which will go to the refugees of Artsakh. There's coffee and tea in the room next door, so I hope you will all stay to talk and have a coffee. Thank you.
Mam modestie, bo kuzino im zasą. Też pan im zasą. Sakuzek mi zasą. Բարեկամներ, սրանով մենք եզրափակում ենք այսօրվա մեր ուղիղ հեռարձակումների շարքը։ Առավոտյան մենք եղանք հրեական միջազգային դատարանի մոտ, այնտեղ հանձնվեցին մի շարք նյութեր Ադրբեջանի կատարած վայրագությունների մասին եւ հիմա Աբովյան մշակութային միության կազմակերպմամբ 109-ամյակին նվիրված ցեղասպանության ոգեկոչման միջոցառումներ։ Սրանով եզրափակում ենք օրը, ձեզ բարի գիշեր։ Ես լավ է, լավ է։ Սա